In the last lecture, we have seen that how we are able to show whether the function is analytic or not, and then we have seen the derivative of the analytic function in terms of z. We have also shown that though the function satisfies CR equation, but still the function may not be analytic. Okay. Now, suppose we have an analytic function, then what are the benefits we have? So we'll try to see such problems based on the analytic function. So when we have the function is analytic, then the real part u and the imaginary part v of this function, okay, they satisfy the CR equations, and hence they are also continuous. The first order derivatives are also continuous. Okay, so now we'll see some more examples based on analytic function. So is my screen visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we'll go with the example. Find the constants A, B, C, and D such that f of z is equal to x square plus 2axy plus by square plus I cx square plus 2dxy plus y square is analytic. Okay, so this function is going to be analytic. Now we have to simplify this. Okay, so we go with the solution. Right, f of z is equal to x square plus 2xy plus by square plus I cx square plus 2dxy plus y square be an analytic function. Be an analytic function. Okay, so once we say this is going to be an analytic function, then this is going to be u and this is going to be v. So we have u is equal to x square plus 2axy plus by square, and v is equal to cx square plus 2dxy and plus y square. Okay. So now what we can say is, since f of z is an analytic function, hence u and v satisfy CR equations. So what are the CR equations we have? See, that is w by x is equal to w by y, and w by y is equal to minus w by x. So these two equations are satisfied. Moreover, we know this first order partial derivatives will be continuous. Okay. Now what we have to do is, we have to find out this first order derivatives and compare with the CR equations, and then we have to simplify. So let us find this first order derivatives of this functions u and v, and hence what we can have is we have w by x. So the derivative of this term with respect to x, so we have 2x and you'll be having plus 2ay, then w by y. So the derivative of this term with respect to y, so it is 2ax plus 2by. Okay. And now we have to consider the derivative of this term. So, and w by x. So what is w by x? 2cx. Okay. So we have to be careful. 2cx, because this is cx square. Okay. So 2cx plus 2dy, and we have w by y is equal to dx and plus 2y. Okay, so this is what the first order derivatives we have. Now we have to check this CR equation. Okay, so now we consider. Okay, so what we have here, C w by x is equal to w by y. So what we get here, w by x. So this is going to be 2x plus 2ay is equal to w by y. So this is 2dx plus 2y. Okay. Now we have to solve this equation. So what we can say is comparing the coefficients of x and y on both sides, we get. See, when we say two polynomials are equal, if their respective coefficients are equal, so we get what you'll be having 2 is equal to 2d and 2a is equal to 2. So I can get here d is equal to 1 and we get a is equal to 1. So from this equation, we got the value of d and a. And now we have to consider the another equation. So now we consider this equation. So what we have now, we have w by y is equal to minus w by x. Okay. So let us see what you have w by y, 2ax plus 2dy. Okay. So we get here, this is 2ax plus 2by. And now this is equal to minus. Okay. So what we have, w by x. So 2cx plus 2dy. So we have here, this is 2cx plus 2dy. Okay, and now simplify this. So we have 2ax plus 2dy is equal to minus 2cx minus 2dy. Now we can say comparing the coefficients of x and y on both sides, we get. So what we are able to get is, see here, the coefficient of x is 2a. Here the coefficient of x is minus 2c. And we have the coefficient is 2b of y, and here it is minus 2d. So we have already calculated the d and a. So the value of d is going to be 1, the value of a is going to be 1. And hence we can write, so we get 2 is equal to minus 2c and b is equal to minus 2. Why we are able to write? Because d is equal to a is equal to 1. Okay, so this already we have proved. And from here we can write that c is equal to minus 1 and b is equal to -1. So b is equal to -1. Okay. So this way we are able to get the value of a, b, c, and d. And so we write hence if f of z is analytic, then what we get here, a is equal to 1, b is equal to -1, c is equal to -1, and d is equal to 10. So this way we are able to get the values of this coefficient if we know that the function is going to be analytic function. Okay. So do you have any doubt in this example? Is there any doubt? You got this all? That's good. Very good. Okay. So let us see one more example. Okay. So we'll go for the another example. Okay. So we'll go find the coefficients of find the coefficient value. We have find the values of A, B, C, D, and E. Okay. If f of z is equal to ax raised to 4 plus bx square y square plus c y raised to 4 plus dx square minus 2y square plus I 4x cube y minus e xy cube plus 4xy is analytic. Okay, so be careful while writing the coefficients. Okay, because accordingly that will be getting the value. So we have to be careful while writing our function. So here you have this five values, coefficients A, B, C, D, and E, and we have to find out this value of the coefficients when we know that this function is going to be analytic. Okay, so the approach will be similar that we have used in the previous example. So what we have, let f of z is equal to ax raised to 4 b x square y square plus c y raised to 4 plus dx square minus 2y square plus I 4x cube y minus e xy cube plus 4xy e and analytic function. Okay, so this has to be an analytic function. So then we have, so the real part of this is going to be u, and you will be having ax raised to 4 plus bx square y square plus c y raised to 4 plus dx square minus 2y square, and we have b is equal to 4x cube y minus 6 or minus e x y cube and plus 4xy. Okay, so these are going to be the real part and imaginary part. So what we know is, since f of z is an analytic function, then u and v satisfy CR equations. Okay, that is what we have, w by wx is equal to w by wy, and w by wy is equal to minus w by wx. So these are the two equations which will be satisfied as f of z is going to be an analytic function. So we have to find out the first order derivative of this u and v with respect to x and y. So let us find out the derivative with respect to x and y. So we have w by wx is equal to the derivative of this term with respect to x. So we'll be having 4ax cube plus, what is the term you will be having here? 2bxy square plus the derivative of this term is going to be 0. This is going to be 2dx, then w by y. So with respect to y, we have to find out. So it is going to be 2bx square y plus 4cy cube minus 4y. Okay, so that's what we get. Now the derivative of this v, and we have above v by above x. So the derivative of this term with respect to x. So what we get here, you will have this is 12x square y minus ey cube and plus 4y. Then double v by double y. So what we have here, 4x cube minus 3exy square and plus 4x. Okay, so you can see this derivatives. Okay, we have calculated, and now we have to consider this equations one by one. So we have to consider this equation first, and then we have to consider this equation. Okay, so what we have, we'll consider this equation first. Okay, now we have w by wx is equal to w by w. So this term we have to compare with this term. So what we get here, 4ax cube plus 2bx y square plus 2dx is equal to, so it will be 4x cube minus 3e x y square and plus 4x. Okay, so what we can say is, we can comparing the coefficients of x cube, xy square and x on both sides we get. Okay, so what we are able to get is here the coefficient of x cube. So we have 4a is equal to 4. The coefficient of xy square. So 2b is equal to minus 3e, and the coefficient of x, so it is 2d is equal to 4. Okay, and so from here we are able to get a is equal to 1. From here we are able to get d is equal to 2. Okay, so we got the value of a, we got the value of d. But this equation contains the variables on both hand sides, so we cannot simplify this right now. So we'll keep this to simplify later. Okay. Now we have to consider the next equation. So what is the next equation we have? W by y is equal to minus w by x. Okay. So that we have to consider now, and hence now we consider w by y is equal to minus delta v by delta x. Okay. So see what we have, w by delta y, 2b x square y plus 4c by q. So here we have 2b x square y plus 4c y cube plus 4y, and this we have to consider minus. Okay, so this is going to be minus 4 dy. Okay, so we have to be careful. Okay, minus 4y minus here what we have, see, this is going to be 12x square y minus ey cube. So it is 12x square y minus ey cube plus 4y. Okay, so check the terms once again. So 12x square y minus ey cube plus 4y, and here we have 2b x square y plus 4cy minus 4y. Okay, so plus 4cy cube, and that's what we have. So we simplify this term now, hence we get 2b x square y plus 4cy cube minus 4y is equal to minus 12x square y minus minus plus ey cube minus 4y. So this minus 4y will get cancelled, and you will be having 2b x square y plus 4cy cube is equal to minus 12 x square y plus ey cube. Okay, and now what we can do is comparing the coefficients of x square y and y cube on both sides. We get, so what you are able to get is 2b is equal to minus 12, and we have 4c is equal to e. So that's what we get. Now simplify. So what we have here, so from here we are able to get that b is equal to minus 6. Okay, now if b is equal to minus 6, what we know is, we know that 2b is equal to minus 3e. Okay, so 2b is equal to minus 3e, and we have 2b is equal to minus 3e. So 2 into minus 6 is equal to minus 3e. So what we get is minus 12 is equal to minus 3e, and hence we get a is equal to 4. So from here we got a is equal to 4, and now we have to solve this equation. So now we have 4c is equal to e is equal to 4, and hence we get c is equal to 1. Okay, so this way we are able to get the values of all coefficients. So b, c, and e we got here, and we got here a and d. So we can write the final solution as, so if f of z is an analytic function, then we have a is equal to 1, b is equal to minus 6, c is equal to 1, d is equal to 2, and we get a is equal to 4. Okay, so this way we are able to get the value of this coefficients when we have the function f of z is going to be analytic. So what was the given information here? If this function is analytic, then we have to find out this value. So what did we use here? So we use the CR equations, and by comparing the coefficients on both sides using CR equation, we are able to get the values of these coefficients or these constants. So do you have any doubt in this example? Both the examples that we have solved? That's great. You don't have any doubt. Okay, very good. Okay, so now we have seen that we are able to prove that the function is analytic or not, or we are able to find the coefficient, missing coefficients, if we know the function is going to be analytic. Now, the next thing is if I know only the real part or only the imaginary part or the algebraic sum or the linear combination of u and v, then is it possible to find the analytic function? Okay, so that's the question. The answer is yes. Okay, we are able to find the analytic function if only the real part is known or imaginary part is known or whatever it may be, or the linear combination is known. Okay, now the question is if we are able to find out, then how? Okay, so how we are able to get it? Okay, so the answer for this is the Milne-Thomson method. Okay, so we use Milne-Thomson method to find the analytic function when the real part is known or imaginary part is known or even the algebraic combination or the u plus v or u minus v is known. Okay, so any one of these four things is known, then we are able to find the analytic function using Milne-Thomson method. Okay, so now we'll see the Milne-Thomson method. And this is the only method that we are going to use in this chapter and we are going to see. Okay. So we'll be looking for the Milne-Thomson method. Okay. Now this method can be used when we have the real part given, when we have the imaginary part is given, and so on. So if we see first, if the real part u is okay, so first we'll see when the real part is given. Okay, so if I want to find out the analytic function f of z whose real part is to be u, then we have to follow the following steps. Okay, so there are only 4 steps that you need to follow and you will get the analytic function. So what are that 4 steps? So we'll go one by one. So declare first, right, f of z is equal to u plus ib be an analytic function, okay, with real part u, which is a function of x and y. So we know u is a function of x and y. So declare first that we want to find out the f of z, which is an analytic function, and with the given thing that u, the real part. Okay. Now second step. So here, please be careful for these steps because exactly you have to follow these steps and exactly you have to use this notation. Do not make any mistake in using the notation. So please use proper notation. Okay, and hence what we'll be having. So next we have to do is consider find out the first order derivatives of this u. So we have phi1 of xy is equal to w by wx and phi2 of xy is equal to w by wy. Okay, so these are the two derivatives that we need to know. Okay, so here we have this is phi. Okay, now once you get this derivatives, then the third and important step we need to understand. Okay, so put x is equal to z and y is equal to 0 in above equations. Okay, so this will be one equation, this will be the other equation. So in this equation, so we have to put x is equal to z and y is equal to 0 equations, then we get. So what we'll be getting? Phi1 of z0 we have, and we'll be having phi2 of z0. So once you get phi1 of z0 and phi2 of z0, then you are able to write the fourth and the final step. Okay, so this is the final step. What we can say is phi Milne-Thomson method. So always mention the method that you are going to use. Okay, so by Milne-Thomson method, the analytic function f of z is given as. So what we have f of z. Please be careful for the formula. Always write the formula before you calculate. Okay, so phi1 of z0 dz minus I integral of phi2 of z0 dz plus c, where c is constant of integration. Okay, so here you must mention that this c is going to be the constant of integration because these are the integrals without limit. Okay, so these are the independent integrals, and that's why you must mention it. Okay, so these are the four steps that you have to follow. So first, declare the function analytic with the real part given, then find out the first order derivatives, then put x is equal to z and y is equal to 0, and then use Milne-Thomson method, okay, to find out the analytic function f of z. So these two steps, third and fourth, are very important, and that only characterize this method as the Milne-Thomson method, and that's why you must write that you are using Milne-Thomson method. So please do not abbreviate this. Okay, so this is the Milne-Thomson method. Do not abbreviate this. There is no standard abbreviation. Okay, and if you abbreviate, it will give the different meaning. Okay, so now this is the method when the real part is known. Now, what are the changes when the imaginary part is known? So, if the imaginary part A is given, okay. So, suppose the imaginary part is given, okay. Now, see whether it is a real part or it is an imaginary part, we have to find out the same function. So, what you'll be having, let f of z is equal to u plus iv be an analytic function with imaginary part p of xy. Okay, so this is the first step. Always we mention in the first step that what we want to find and then what is given to us. Okay, so that's what we have. Now, second step. Okay, so again, we have to find the first order derivatives, but be careful here. Okay, strictly pay your attention on the derivatives. What we have. So we have psi 1 is equal to dabba b by dabba y, and we have psi 2 is equal to dabba b by dabba x. Okay, so here we have to be careful. Okay, so we are having this is going to be psi. Okay, so we call it as psi. Okay, that's what we have now. Please be careful here. We are taking the first derivative with respect to y and the second derivative with respect to x, as this is going to be an imaginary part. Now, the next step. So, this is the character step of the Milne-Thomson method, and that's why there is no change in the third and fourth step. Okay, so we'll be having put x is equal to z and y is equal to 0 in both equations we get. Okay, so what we are able to get is we'll get psi 1 of z0 and psi 2 of z0. And this x will change to z and y will change to 0. Okay, and now fourth and final step. Okay, so we can write by Milne-Thomson method. Okay, so by Milne-Thomson method, the analytic function f of z is given as. So what is the analytic function you have here? Please, as I said, be careful about the formula. So f of z is equal to integration psi 1 of z0 dz plus this is an imaginary part. So psi 2 of z0 dz plus c. So where c is constant of integration. Okay. So that's what we have when the imaginary part is given. Okay, so you can see the steps are very similar. The first, but you have to be careful in the second step, and you have to be careful in the fourth step. The third step is very same, that we have to replace x by z and y by 0. Okay, so this is going to be the signature step for Milne-Thomson method. That in Milne-Thomson method we replace this, and then after that, if it is a real part, then we have minus sign in between these two integrals, and if it is a imaginary part, then we have plus sign here. Okay, so that's why we have to be careful. Now here, what we did is, see, we have z is equal to x plus iy, and we have f of z is equal to u plus ib. Okay, so the first derivative when the real part is given is with respect to x, when the imaginary part is given with respect to y, and that's why you can have this hint and then use it. See here, it is the imaginary part, so the first derivative is with respect to y, and here we have the real part, and so the first derivative is with respect to x. Okay, so that's what you can remember, and then you can calculate accordingly. So now we have seen for the real part and for the imaginary part also. So do you have any doubt in these steps? Okay, that's great. You don't have any out in the steps. Okay. Now we'll see what if the algebraic sum is given. Okay, so that means u plus v is given or u minus v is given. Then we have to see how we are able to get the analytic function. Okay, so we can have if the if the algebraic sum is given. Okay, so the third case, if u plus v or u minus v is given. Okay, so here we can call this as algebraic sum, linear combination. Okay, or simply u plus v or u minus v is given. Okay, so here in this example, you need a pre-processing kind of thing, but always our first step is same. So what we have to do is here we have pre-processing. So let f of z is equal to u plus iv. This is equation one because we want to find out this. Okay, so being an analytic function. Okay, so this is an analytic function. What we can do is multiply above equation by I. So we get multiply this by I. So I'll get I into f of z is equal to I into u plus iv. So it is iu plus so we have I into f of z. Let this equation 2. Now what I'll do is I'll add this equation 1 and 2. Okay. So adding equations 1 and 2, we get. So what you are able to get here, see f of z plus I f of z is equal to u plus iv plus minus v plus iu. So we get here 1 plus I into f of z, and this is equal to 2 minus v plus I times u plus. So you can see I got these terms u plus v and u minus v, and hence I can write this as so 1 plus I into f of z is equal to capital U plus I capital V. This is equation 3. So where this will be V and analytic. Okay, so where capital U is equal to U minus V is real part of 1 plus I into f of z, and capital V is equal to U plus V is imaginary part of 1 plus I into. Okay, so here we have this f of z is an analytic function. So analytic function means what? Its derivative exists. So this is a differentiable function. So we know if f of x is differentiable, then k into f of x is also differentiable. So if this is a differentiable function, then 1 plus I into f of z, because this is going to be constant, so this will be a differentiable function. So if it is differentiable, that means it is going to be an analytic function, and that's why I have declared here that this function is going to be an analytic function. Okay. So now if this function is going to be analytic, then capital U, which is U minus V, it becomes the real part of this analytic function, and U plus V, which is capital V, becomes an imaginary part of this analytic function 3. Okay, so once I have the real part or the imaginary part, okay, so either I have this U minus V. So if I have U minus V, I'll follow A, because that is going to be the real part with the function 1 plus I into f of z, and this will be capital U. Okay, the small u in this case in the third case it will be capital U. Okay, and if U plus V is given, that is small u plus small v is given, then it becomes capital V, and then we have to follow this second V when the imaginary part is given. So instead of here small v, we'll have capital V, and instead of the function f of z, we'll have 1 plus I into f of z. And after following this capital U and capital V, so finally by Milne-Thomson method, we'll get this function 1 plus I into f of z. And if we'll get 1 plus I into f of z, then this 1 plus I is a constant. We can take it on the other hand side. And once we take it on the other hand side, definitely we are able to get the function f of z, which is our target, which is our equation 1. So our target is always to find the analytic function f of z is equal to u plus iv. Okay, so this is what we have. Now, do you have any doubt in this method, or the method that Milne-Thomson we have consider when the real part is given, when the imaginary part is given, and when the algebraic sum, that is u plus v or u minus v, is given? Okay, so remember one thing, we have to use only one method, and that is the Milne-Thomson method to find the analytic function. Again, we'll use this same method, Milne-Thomson method, to find or to solve the different kind of problems. Okay, so we'll use this some in some designing also. So when we'll go to that kind of problems, I'll show you that how it works. Okay. So do you have any doubt up to this? Okay, that's great. You don't have any doubt. Okay, that's very good.